A very good evening and a very warm welcome to Buddhist Mahavihara's Facebook page. We are here live this evening. We are going into our Dhammadana series this Friday evening, and we have a very distinguished speaker. And this speaker is appearing on the Dhammadana series for the first time. But this speaker is not somebody who's unknown. He has actually been to Malaysia a few times, and I think there's a lot of Malaysian audience who actually know him because he had actually taught the Bapu classes, I think, in Penang and in KL, if I'm not mistaken. So there are many people who actually know Dr. Sumana, who's our speaker this evening. And I would now like to invite Dr. Sumana Ratnayaka to our studio. Good evening, Doctor. Welcome.
Good evening.
Okay, for those of you who are unfamiliar with Dr. Sumana, let me read his profile so that you know who this distinguished gentleman is. Dr. Sumana Ratnayaka comes from Sri Lanka and is presently living in Sweden, and he has experience in teaching Buddhism at basic to advanced level classes and undergraduate to postgraduate programs in various countries. By his retirement in February 2019, he had worked for nearly 17 years as a senior lecturer in Pali and Buddhist studies at the Peradeniya University. After being exposed to both various Buddhist meditation traditions and to his own self-retreats, he has been conducting meditation retreats in several Asian and European countries since 1985. In which year he pioneered establishing the Stockholm Buddhist Vihara, the first ever Sri Lankan Buddhist Vihara in Scandinavia. He studied in Kelaniya, Uppsala, Oxford, Lund, and Peradeniya universities. He obtained his BA special degree from the Kelaniya University and his M.Lit from Oxford University and his PhD from Peradeniya University for his thesis, Mindfulness and Exploratory Study of Buddhist Meditation in Sri Lanka. So that is Dr. Sumana's profile. Okay, so I have to admit, sorry for the apologies for the error, Doctor.
Not at all. It's
okay.
all right.
So this evening, Dr. Sumana will actually be talking on success in work and life. And before we start, actually, I would like to thank Dr. Sunil from the UK who would actually introduce us to Dr. Sumana. And since they are both good friends, and Dr. Sunil has appeared on the Dhammadana series a few times over the last 2 years. And he had invited his good friend, Dr. Sumana, to speak to us this evening. So Dr. Sumana, would you kindly start this evening's Dhamma sharing entitled Success in Work and Life?
Thank you. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. First of all, I am grateful to Venerable Ratnayaka and other venerable monks of the KL Mahavihara, Buddhist Mahavihara. Brother Tilak Leslie and organizing committee for inviting me to this Dhamma talk. I should respectfully mention my gratitude to Bhante Mahinda, who introduced me to Mahavihara and the late Venerable Kesari Dhammananda Nayaka Thera, first in 1983. I believe that the late Venerable Nayaka Thera, from any heavenly realm, is still appreciating wholeheartedly the Dhamma missions that you all are carrying on. On behalf of the brothers and sisters who sponsored for this Dhamma talk, and on my own behalf, let us dedicate this Dhamma talk to the late Venerable. The topic given to me today, as you all know now, success in work and life, using Buddhist principles to achieve modern day career and life advancement. Let me start my talk with a brief allegory. Well, it is a true story, true incident that I myself experienced. Once I wanted to visit a tidy kitchen in a house in Colombo some years ago. Before showing me the kitchen, the lady of the house, the auntie of the house, told me that the kitchen is the second house of the Buddha. That gave me a good impression. And I wanted to ask her for more details about her, explanation, how she referred to the Buddha house of the Buddha, second house of the Buddha, referring to her own kitchen. Then she explained to me that kitchen is a place where she practiced mindfulness. She practiced, a mindfulness and loving kindness, compassion, all that while cooking. No, because she does not cook food for herself, she cooked food for all family members and even outsiders. She also cleaned the kitchen mindfully and with loving kindness for making it tidy and clean. And she washes dishes and prepares other food items whenever cooking with mindfulness. So then she asked me, are these qualities not the Buddha's qualities? If they are the Buddha's qualities, you find an embodiment of the Buddha even in the kitchen. So let the kitchen be the second house of the Buddha. Then I was so impressed without without wanting to, walk around in the kitchen. I was so inspired and, I was so impressed by her explanations. Then I told her that I would tell this story even in my talks. And even when I was teaching at the University of Peradeniya and elsewhere, I used to mention this, how a kitchen can be made uh, a second house of the Buddha. Not that because there is a Buddha statue at a corner somewhere in the kitchen, but it is because you practice. You practice the Buddha's qualities like mindfulness. You practice the qualities of loving kindness, selflessness, harmony, being in harmony with what you do, enjoy what you do. All that brings you to a useful, way of being in harmony with what you do. So this is the way that the story, this particular allegory, tells us how to make the Buddha alive in our surroundings. So if we keep the house or the kitchen of any persons, let the kitchen be the second house. Can anywhere else be the second house of the Buddha? So I thought we can extend it to our workplace even. Anywhere where we work, if we can practice a little of, mindfulness, if we can practice compassion, loving kindness, etc., these qualities being the qualities of the Buddha, if we can remind ourselves of the Buddha with what we do, then we find even our workplace, wherever it is, a second house of the Buddha. Then I began to, explore further. What is the first house of the Buddha then? If kitchen or the workplace or wherever we go, maybe inside the bus or in the train, we can make any of these places a second house of the Buddha. So we can ask ourselves, what is the first house of the Buddha then? Then I began to read texts looking for the first house of the Buddha. Actually, I found the answer in certain texts. First house of the Buddha is your heart, your mind, our personal, experiences, our personal, experiences of our own behavior, our own mind should be the place where Buddha should live. So we can make the Buddha alive like that. You can remember the stories like Vakkali's story. During the Buddha's time, one venerable called Vakkali became desperately ill. His body was full of blisters and pus all over the body, and it was so uh, serious illness. So he was worried and depressed because he could not visit the Buddha anymore. Then Buddha noticed this. Buddha heard about it. Buddha himself visited the Venerable Vakkali and asked how he was. Venerable Vakkali was telling Buddha it was only becoming worse and worse, Venerable Sir. My illness is, becoming worse and worse. I don't have any recovery. But I'm not worried about my illness. My only worry is that I would not be able to visit the Buddha anymore. I would not be able to see the Buddha anymore. That is my worry. Then the Buddha said, looking at this foul body, Buddha said to Vakkali, looking at my foul body, Vakkali, don't think that you have seen the Buddha. To see the Buddha, you should see the teaching. To see the teaching, you should see yourself, your illness, your ups and downs of your life, you could see. And by seeing yourself, you would see the Dhamma and you could see the Buddha. So Vakali learned a lesson from the Buddha, how to see the Buddha even when he is ill and when he is not able to walk. So he was in his bed, understanding the Buddha's teaching, and he was happy that he has learned a new way of seeing the Buddha. His body is so weak, he was ill, and however much he is ill, now his mind is not going to be ill. No matter how sick we are, we should never let our mind become sick. And that is the lesson that Vakali learned. And afterwards, Vakali became enlightened, and he asked his disciples and others to take him to the forest and leave him there for vultures. He knew that he would not continue living there. So he wanted to offer his body to vultures. So this is a story during the Buddha's time telling us how to make the Buddha alive in our practice, in our day-to-day living. If we can make our kitchen the house of the second house of the Buddha, and if we can make our workplace the second house of the Buddha, where we practice selfless attitudes, compassion, loving kindness, appreciative joy, mental balance, wisdom, any insight, mindfulness altogether. That is where you make your workplace the second house of the Buddha. And this is the way of success in work and life. I mean, when I found the topic like success in work and life, using the Buddhist principles to achieve modern day career and life advancement, I found that this is the way that we should make our life successful. If we can make our jobs wholesome, if you can find a way to attend to any work with a wholesome, quality, selfless quality, then the money does not bother us. Time does not bother us. Our, duties are done holistically with a wholesome heart, enjoying what you do with a pure heart through which you help others. Whatever work we have selected, we should bring the quality of wholesomeness in the way possible, in whatever way possible, and then you can make the work uh, that you attend tirelessly, and that is something very useful for understanding how to bring the Buddha's teaching, and how to make the Buddha alive with whatever we do. So when you talk about success in life, work, and all, you have seen, slow down, keep calm, be positive, take it easy, unplug, all kinds of phrases you may have seen. And you have seen, relax and go outside, smile. I learned some, monks talking about meditation, summarizing the entire meditation into a simple smile. Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh, for example, he always says, if you want to meditate, you have to smile a lot, smiling a lot. So it has a deep meaning in it. Another venerable was talking recently, I noticed, if you know how to smile from the bottom of your heart, if you smile, that smile should be an inner one, inner smile, which will reflect on your facial muscles, not only on facial muscles, on all over the body. Then what will happen is you will relax and you enjoy. And that joy we need to find in the form of meditation. In whatever we attend, whatever we do, if you find that joy, that should be an inner joy, an inner happiness that overwhelm ourselves, where we practice mindfulness. And if we can remember this much from the beginning of the day until we go to bed, we can keep the life, so pleasant. So a lot of smile, of course, will be necessary, but these muscles are not forcefully made. They should be heartful and kindful, that come from the bottom of your heart, that reflect on your facial muscles. And that way, I think all of us will be happy to find any work and make the work a successful work. In the Buddha's teaching, you can find many discourses, referring to these items. Once Buddha was talking to Venerable Ananda, his main supporter, and Buddha asked Venerable Ananda, how are you to take refuge in the Buddha, Ananda? Then the Venerable Ananda said, as I have learned from you, Venerable Sir, I am mindful of my bodily experiences. That means I practice mindfulness of body. I also practice mindfulness of feeling. I practice mindfulness of mind. I also practice mindfulness of mental contents, mental objects, mind objects. And that is the way through which I take refuge in the Buddha. So Buddha said, well done, Ananda. That is the way that you should take refuge in the Buddha. See, that Buddha wanted to make Venerable Ananda understand that mere practice of mindfulness is the way to take refuge in the Buddha. Normally, we tend to take the refuge in the Buddha, keeping the Buddha outside, keeping the Buddha as an external figure, idol. But if you can, of course, as children, we need to have certain surroundings with the Buddha statues and, monks around, etc. Symbolically, they are valuable. At the same time, we should also transform this way of taking refuge into a in-depth practice. That practice is what the Buddha said to Venerable Ananda. Be very mindfulness of your body, feeling, mind, and mind objects. That is the way to take refuge in the Buddha. So if you can remember that much, so we are not hesitant to take refuge in the Buddha by being mindful of our own body, by being mindful of our own feeling, by being mindful of our own mind and mental contents. So it means mindfulness is the very Buddha. Where do we find mindfulness? Whenever we are aware of our posture, whenever we are aware of what we talk, whenever we are mindful of how we behave, how we think, what thoughts occur and recur to our mind. It's not easy, but if we make little effort towards that, that is the way towards taking refuge in the Buddha. So this is the way that Venerable Ananda learned from the Buddha. Very mindfulness is the way of making the Buddha alive. So mindfulness is the very Buddha, very mindfulness is the Buddha. And where is the Dhamma in that? For example, meditation object. Maybe you select a meditation object like maybe a kitchen, or what do in the kitchen. You're cutting vegetables, washing rice, cooking rice, cleaning the floor, cleaning the kitchen. All that will be your objects of meditation. When you are seated, if you want to practice a samadhi, that is, concentration, then you just focus on your breath. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in, then you find yourself at home with your body. Breathe out, also you find yourself at home with your body and mind. So this way, you find mindfulness being the Buddha, your breath being Dhamma. Your breathing or your meditation objects should be Dhamma, through which you learn the entire teachings of the Buddha. So any object that we select for us to focus on, and that focus, that object that we focus on should be the Dhamma. That is the teaching of the Buddha. And the teacher is the Buddha. Teacher is mindfulness in this context. So what is the Sangha then? Where is the Sangha? Actually, Sangha, we don't deny that there is Sangha, the members of the Mahasangha, Bhikkhu Bhikkhuni Sangha. Sangha in Pali means community. But the community, in a meaningful way, community should have a basis, that is compassion. Without having compassion, you don't feel for others. Buddha's teaching talks about heart and the head. The heart representing the emotional, head representing the representing insight and wisdom. So heart and head represents great compassion and great wisdom. In the world, there is a saying that the longest distance in the world is between the heart and the head. So we should remember that we should not leave it as the longest distance in the world. We should make it the shortest distance, the heart and the head, wisdom and compassion. If it is wisdom that is just left alone, it's useless. If it is compassion left alone without wisdom, it's useless. They should work well together. That is how you find the Buddha is endowed with Vijja Charana. Vijja Charana Sampanno. Buddha is an embodiment of great compassion and great wisdom. Vijja is Vijja. Vijja means insight and wisdom, knowledge, and then heart representing the emotional compassion. That is Charana. So Vijja Charana Sampanno, Buddha is endowed with these two qualities. So this is how we should reflect on the qualities of the Buddha, and we should also reflect on the other qualities like mindfulness, etc., and find a meaningful way of taking refuge in the Buddha. Buddha being within ourselves, we make him alive, and also we make the Dhamma present in us, in front of us, within us, so that we can carry on. And then we find the community feeling within us. Whenever we cook rice in the kitchen, we need to think it's not only for me that I cook rice. Even if I feed myself with the rice, of course, it's a way of helping somebody, one individual at least. So several individuals in the family, some others in society. So it's a selfless practice through cooking that we practice. When we have that feeling for others, that is where you start the community feeling. So when you have community feeling, so we embrace, others selflessly. And when we embrace others selflessly through our work, through our duties, through our obligations, then we have that quality of Sangha within us. So taking refuge in the Buddha Dhamma Sangha in that manner, you know, you make the triple gem bless you. We can really get blessed by this way of practice, by, making the triple gem alive within our practice, within ourselves. Along the same line, you find some more references in the discourses. For example, in the Sanghavattu Sutta, Anguttara Nikaya 2 has a reference to Sanghavattu Sutta. 4 means of sustaining a favorable relationship. That's very important for developing these qualities within our workplace or outside, where we need to have a success in work, where we need to have success in life. We need to sustain certain good qualities. These are the qualities starting with giving. So giving means just to uh, practice generosity, giving for letting go, so that we practice this quality. It's an advanced quality, but it has a simple beginning. Just giving and enjoy giving, then you have a way of sustaining this favorable relationship with others. So giving is a very useful way of sacrificing, and in the way of sacrificing your duties, your time, your property, and your thoughts, your dhamma, your teaching, whatever, for the good of others. This way of giving helps oneself, because we are conditioned by what we do. When we are conditioned by giving generosity, it is the same conditioning will benefit us. So the conditioned mind with the characteristic of giving psychologically condition itself to receive. So that is the important aspect of giving. So Buddha encouraged us to practice giving, dana, and it can be a dana paramita, perfection of giving even eventually. And then you find another important quality, Peyyavacha. Peyyavacha is endearing speech, pleasant words that we express. That is always appealing to the heart of others. If we wound others' heart, it is very difficult to heal the wounds. If we use pleasant words, we don't lose anything, but we enjoy using them and let others enjoy hearing such pleasant words from us. It's another way of giving even. And this is another quality. So the third quality in that context is beneficent conduct, arthacharya, that is to work for the good of others, to do anything for the good of oneself and others. Arthacharya, artha is meaningfulness. If you do something meaningfully for the good of yourself and others, that is what is called arthacharya. And the fourth quality is called impartiality, samanatata. Samanatata in some other context can mean even something more. But in this context, having a good relationship with others, with society where you work, and that to maintain or to sustain a favorable relationship with family members and workplace, and people in society, etc., you need these four qualities. So the fourth being impartiality, samanatata. So you are not biased, you are not prejudiced. Then you have a way of treating others without discriminating any side, any part, any party. So that way of in society there is something called recognition. If you want to maintain something harmonious, if you want to run a business, if you want to keep a managing position, if you want to study management, for example, you need to remember recognition is very important. Recognition is always followed by appreciation. So appreciation, recognition can make you succeed in any character, in any position. So whenever you manage a society, a class, or a group or society, it's very important to give the due recognition to suitable persons. So if you recognize people, as Brother Leslie introduced me, so he has his duty to introduce, and that way he gave me the due place and due recognition, and introducing me to you all. So you have come to know the speaker, etc. So this way, it's just an example. Just the same way, if you can introduce yourself to others, if others can introduce you, or introduce, you can recognize, give a due recognition to people in the workplace, at home, wherever, with respect, due respect, then you win the heart. All these useful qualities will appeal the heart of the others. So the impartiality is important. So the same word samanatata you find in another context for mental balance. That's also useful. Mental balance means before ups and downs of life, we should maintain a balance. The 8 vicissitudes, 8 ways of ups and downs in life. That is praise or blame, gains or losses, fame or ill fame, and sorrow and happiness. These are the summarized 8 logadhammas, 8 vicissitudes of life. So before all these ups and downs, if you can maintain a mental balance, that is a blessing, that is a gift for our life. So at workplace or at home, wherever you activate yourself for the good of yourself and for the good of others, I think we should remember these qualities, and then you may, develop them for your own good and for the others' good. I think this is a useful summary. If I repeat what I said, remember the allegory related to the kitchen. So whenever you go to kitchen, it's not only to the kitchen but to your workplace or to your other areas like garden. Make that place a house, second house of the Buddha. Second house of the Buddha could make you understand where the first house of the Buddha is. Whenever you practice this way, you find mindfulness being the Buddha in whom you take refuge. You take refuge in that, that great embodiment of great compassion and wisdom, the Buddha, that is mindfulness. And then you find objects of mindfulness being the Dhamma. Even your kitchen is a place where you find the Dhamma. And workplace is a place where you find the Dhamma. If you find these qualities along these lines, I know that you can enjoy your life successfully, and you find success without doubt in your work and life. I think briefly, let me wind up my talk briefly like this now, giving you the opportunity to ask questions if you have questions. Otherwise, I can go further for some more, 4 minutes. So if you have any questions, please feel free. Until others, give me the questions. Let us, have a sense of loving kindness within oneself, within yourself, and at the same time, please feel free to find the Buddha within you, that is mindfulness, and also the Dhamma within you, that is just to focus your attention on maybe breathing. So breathe in mindfully, breathe out mindfully. And when you breathe in, please feel at home with your body. Please feel at home with your body when you breathe out as well. So you may continue breathing in and breathing out mindfully while thinking of any questions if you want to ask any questions.
Thank you, Doctor. That was an excellent sharing. I love the analogy about the kitchen. I thought that was an excellent analogy, actually.
Thank
We have
you.
one question by Brother David. It's a pretty long question. I'll just throw it onto the screen.
Hmm. People are not happy because they have not seen and understand the reality and purpose of life, because the modern education system is too examination and result oriented. Yes, too material, so much so people are only keen in searching for material wealth. How to correct these, how to correct things and help people to be more spiritual. Thank you. Yes, of course. That is natural that people become money minded, because we have this sort of, we are, target oriented always. What targets do we have? We have sometimes like, being the richest in the world, to be the richest in the world. But if you think, I want to be the richest in the world spiritually, then the money-minded attitudes will be overcome by this feeling and this way of interpreting. So the world is, of course, full of examinations and result oriented. But it's very important to, give little space for children, space for them to enjoy life, space for them to, walk out and, play. And we don't need to try to correct people always. We can just advise them once or twice and enjoy just giving an advice. Don't expect the results so quickly. If it's like just planting a seed. When you plant a seed, you can't expect a tree to be there tomorrow and the fruits will be available day after tomorrow. And it's not that quick. If you plant a seed, it will take time and it will grow slowly and bear fruits, if not for yourself, for the world. Let the world enjoy the fruits. The same way, you can give a little bit of advice to your children, others, and may they benefit from them, but don't wait for their results. So that is one piece of advice that I always appreciate. When I give any advice to children or students, I always think, my duty is done. If they don't follow, they'll have to repeat. They'll have to, wait for the advice again from somebody else. But if they don't follow it, they might, learn slowly, little by little. If they succeed, I don't have to wait for their thanks. And that sort of attitudes we need to maintain. There is another saying I would say as an answer to this question. You know, there is a beautiful saying: there is no path to peace. Peace is the path. There is no path to happiness. Happiness is the path. There is no path to success. Success is the path. We should walk the path. Thinking that there is an something like result oriented journey, then thinking that there is peace someday, what will happen? We keep on postponing peace without walking the path of peace. If we think that there is no path to peace, but path is, peace is the path, then we know from the right from the beginning, there is peace. That is the way of the teaching of the Buddha. Buddha's teaching is not a result oriented as we normally imagine. Is a result oriented as a beginning anew. Just as soon as you start the journey, it should be peaceful. As soon as you start the journey, it should be happy. So happiness should not be postponed for tomorrow. Mindfulness should not be postponed to, further, time in the future. We should make it here and the now. So there is no path to peace. Peace is the path. If you remember that, then you may see there is an answer, deep answer hidden in this saying. for examination oriented, result oriented, money oriented society. So if we cannot be happy now, what is the use of the money in the future? If you cannot be happy now, what is the good of having good results in the future? Now is the time. We should make the now moments the richest moments. Thank you. I think I answered the question partially. So if you have any more questions, please feel free. Why? A number of Buddhist countries don't adhere to Buddha's teaching. The leaders are greedy, doing atrocities, etc., etc. Oh yeah, Buddhist countries don't adhere to Buddha's teaching. Yeah, not only Buddhist countries, even human beings, they don't adhere to Buddhism enough. If they do, of course, there's peace always. As I said, they find the peace as the path, not as a result. Postponing success to a future moment, you will never meet it. You will never come across success. You will never come across peace. So peace should be the path. Happiness should be the path. Enlightenment should be the path. So there is no path to enlightenment. Let the enlightenment be the path of walking. There's a controversial saying, but still it is meaningful because whenever you make it a now moment only, you can enjoy it. If you keep postponing the result to a future moment, you will never enjoy it. And the Buddhist world, of course, should be educated along this line. It takes time because people are, brainwashed, indoctrinated through various, expectations, hopes, and future results, future happinesses, future salvations. Then they don't know how to enjoy the moment now, here and the now. And if he can, make people understand that much, for making them understand, we have to follow that path. That is the teachings of the Buddha, of course. And if he can make the Buddha's teaching available to people along that line, I think in the future, majority will be more interested in practicing the teaching of the Buddha. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. I think that was an excellent reply to both the questions. We have come to the end of this evening's Dhamma sharing.
Yeah.
And I think the little nuggets that you had expounded or explained to us will remain with us for the next, for a long time, I would think. To me, at least the second house of the Buddha, the story or the analogy about the kitchen, I think that was an excellent analogy. I think that will remain with me for a long time. Because as you mentioned, you can take your home or your room or your workplace or wherever you are as a second house of the Buddha. I think that's an excellent way of looking at things. So for those of you who enjoyed or benefited from Dr. Sumana's Dhamma sharing this evening, Dr. Sumana will be with us again on Sunday, the 18th of July, at this time at 9 p.m. Malaysian time. I think it's going to be 6:30 in Sri Lanka. And because Doctor is very busy, he's got classes back to back, so he's graciously obliged us to fit in 1 hour with us. So we wouldn't like to encroach into his time. So we look forward to this Sunday's sharing. This Sunday's sharing is called Managing Stress and Emotions in Daily Life. That's what the topic is for this Sunday. So for those of you who would like to listen to Dr. Sumana again, so please keep this Sunday, the 18th of July at 9 p.m. here at the BMW's Facebook page. We'll go live again at 9 p.m. So with that, we've come to the end of this evening's Dhamma sharing. We'd like to take this opportunity on behalf of the monks of the Buddhist Mahavihara as well as the Committee of Management to thank Dr. Sumana for taking time off to be with us. Also to our sponsors this evening for enabling us to have this Dhamma talk, and to all our viewers and listeners throughout the world who have been sharing this Dhamma sharing with us live. And also, if you can spread the word, we have these talks also posted on our YouTube channel. It's called the BMV Dhammadana series on YouTube. So if you missed any of the talks, you can always go back there and listen to any of the talks that were carried out here at the Dhammadana series. So with that, we've come to the end of this evening's Dhamma sharing. Have a pleasant evening and Sukhi Hotu. Sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you very much, Leslie, Brother Leslie.
Welcome, welcome.
You're welcome.